So I know I'm a bit behind, but I've had other things to do. And I said I watched the first 3 episodes of season 8 back to back, and it felt like an actual movie, with each episode being each act. Episode 1 was just, reunions, getting back to knowing the characters, and finding out what they're doing. With the big surprise at the end of episode 1 being, once again, if you watch these type of things, you should know, spoiler alert, that, yeah, Jon is Rhaegar's son. He's a Targaryen, or Targaryen, however you say it. Episode 2 is just how they're planning for war, how they're setting everything up, and how they're getting ready for the day to come, for the next night. Episode 3 is just the war. And it's funny, everybody's complaining about how they couldn't see anything. But if you when I watched it on a TV, because that's why it took me so long to watch it, I was waiting to watch it on a TV, I could see it perfectly clear. But when I start to take screen caps from when I do the recap for the episodes, I could barely see it. So if you watched it on a phone, or you watched it on on a standard definition TV, or you watched it on from a pirate site, with the file being smaller and not being like a good quality one, you're not going to be able to see it very well. But if you watched it the way it was supposed to be watched on a TV and an HD TV, you probably saw it pretty clear. I really enjoyed them, and I think we're probably going to get back to maybe a couple slow ones after this, because now they're just have to deal with Cersei because the Night King is gone and the Walkers are gone. Kind of a letdown, like they were doing some huge build-up, and then it was a dagger to the stomach. You think it would have been, I don't know, longer, or it would have to do magic to get rid of them, or would have taken 2 things. I don't know. I think it would have been, I was expecting, more. But then again, that's what happens when you do that. That's why some people are let down by movies and other people aren't, because other people expect the worst and they think, oh, this is going to be a big, huge trash pile. They go walking in. It's not a huge trash pile. They can actually enjoy it. I still, like I said, I enjoyed the 3 episodes. And even if the other 5 remaining episodes are snooze fest or boring or not, this still works perfectly as a ending. Because as you've seen in my earlier thing I was doing for a little while, was where to stop, make your own ending for the season. Don't continue to watch a show if you don't like it anymore. Just stop watching, and hey, this is an ending to the story. It wraps it up perfectly fine. So, let's get to the recap portions. What did you think of the 3 episodes? I personally liked the third one the most, but the second one had a lot of the better scenes in it for the humor moments, and the first one was kind of forgettable to me. I actually honestly forgot the first one had the Sam telling Jon who he was in it, until getting screenshots for this video. I thought it was in the second one, because they kind of ran together, as I said, when I watched them back to back to back. So the first one was kind of just a, hey, this is what's happening, kind of like a recap episode. If you only watched until now, you're not going to bother sticking around for the recap. Have a good one. And now let's move on to the recap. We start off episode 1, or as I call it, the reintroduction to the characters and where the story is at the moment. Sorry. You have Dany's army finally making it to Winterfell. The Winterfell people and the people of the north don't trust outsiders, apparently. The dragon flies in, and they all shock and awe, at least Arya does, because she wanted to see him originally. She wanted to see the skulls and that in the first season. That's a callback for you. Jon gets to see Bran, another reunition. The they're telling everybody to come to Winterfell, all the different things. I think they said the Karstarks, they need horses and wagons because they can't all come there. And Jon says they can have them. And the little girl from the bear house said that you left as a king, you came back as a sir. What are we supposed to call you? I really never liked this character to begin with, and this episode kind of sealed the fate. Made me a little happy. Made me really happy when the third season happened. And I originally just didn't like her because everybody was making too much a big deal about her, when it's just a cocky little kid. That's all it is. Jon gets reunited with Arya at the tree. They talk about swords and she asked him how he survived being stabbed at the heart. Well, I didn't. Back in King's Landing, Cersei is looking over at the oceans to see the Iron Island ships sailing over with the new people she bought. He has kept his cousin with him just because, well, everybody else is a deaf mute on the ship, so he needs someone to talk to. Cersei is introduced, and Theon's uncle says how he is just acting cocky like the girl does, the little girl, and Cersei likes that, and they go to her bedroom. Cersei's hand says Bronn needs to will be given a castle and a queen and a wife if he kills Jaime and Midget's name, her brothers. Theon saves his sister, and they are able to steal 3 ships back, and they start sailing towards the Iron Islands. But he does not want to go to the Iron Islands. He wants to go to protect the Starks up north. And she allows him to. Dany's dragons aren't eating, so they go check on them. And this is when Jon gets to ride one and pet one. And a funny scene happened when, what happens if they don't like me? Well, then it was nice knowing you. And they land at a nice little waterfall, reminiscing of Jon and the wildling girl he was married to, Ygritte or something like that. Or he's not, the characters are married, the actors are married. About how we could stay here for 1,000 years, we'd be really old by then. Back at Winterfell, the Hound and Arya are reunited. And Arya gives the Deer King bastard a tool that she wants him to make. The ravens are being sent in, and people saying they're not coming because they don't trust Jon anymore because of Daenerys and Jorah, I think his name is. I know he's Captain Friendzone, but I don't know his real name. Go to meet Sam and thank him for saving Captain Friendzone. And she tells him about how his father was killed. Well, at least my brother being king, I can go home now. Well, your brother was killed as well. What about my cat? Or what about my goldfish? Eaten by the cat. Well, my cat choked on the goldfish. Poor Sam. Dany cooked his family, and he never get to find out was it original recipe or extra crispy. So he goes under the tomb, to the tombs underneath Winterfell, to tell Jon that, yeah, man, you're the real king. You're the Targaryen, and you need to take back Winterfell and take back your throne. This happened because TV time cut out, and like 3 hours later, I was able to actually load the pictures. where the leader of the wildlings and the Night's Watch both meet up in the same castle because they're collecting people and bringing them back to Winterfell. Stay back, boys. His eyes are blue. My eyes have always been blue. And then they find a sign that was left by the Night King and his people. It's the little kid who was a traitor to Winterfell and a bunch of legs all stapled onto the wall. And they burn it because the kid comes back to life. Then a mysterious hooded rider comes going into Winterfell. And it's Jaime. And Jaime sees Bran. And that's the end of the episode. That was the end of episode 1. Like I said, just reunions. Episode 2, The Calm Before the Storm. They all have Jaime in like a thing because they want to know if they should kill him or not. Tyrion, that's his name, sticks up for his brother, but both Daenerys and Lady Stark want him dead, obvious for reasons, because, you know, he killed her mother and he killed her father. No, wait. It was both fathers, that's right. Because he owed the debt to the mother. And Bran even says the things we do for love, because Jaime goes on about how he doesn't deny the things he did, and he'd do them over again because he was doing what he thought was right. And why'd you come to Winterfell? He looks over at the female knight, and she stands up for him and says how he stopped me from being raped, and he even lost his hand because of it when we were both captured. And he gave me the armor, the sword, and Podrick to go and try to save Sansa, that's her name, Sansa and Arya, and bring them home. And it was a oath he took from the mother. So now Sansa stands up and says, if Brienne, that's her name, if Brienne says he's okay, he's okay. And with Sansa against her, she looks over at Jon. Jon says, hey, we need all the people we can get. So Jaime gets to stay. He gets his sword back. And that pisses off Daenerys because, A, he said that your sister isn't sending anybody up here and it's just him. You trusted her. Oh, I made a mistake. Well, what more mistakes are you going to make? And I think by the time this is over, you'll be wearing this sigil. Nah. Tells that to Captain Friendzone. Back in the forge, Arya shows up to him. And she asks him about the Night King and fighting the walkers, because he fought a couple. He said that it's like facing death. You can't describe it, it's just death. And she throws her dagger. She picks up a couple of the blades he's making and throws them. It hits the same spot. Jaime goes to apologize to Bran. Bran says, you don't need an apology. Everything that's happened has led to this. And Jaime and Tyrion meet up in the square. And they talk about, it's funny how we got here. And then Jaime sees Brienne on the training field and goes out to talk to her. And they have a nice little conversation, and this is the longest we've spoken about you insulting me. What are you doing? I would love to be under your command on the battlefield, he says. Captain Friendzone and Dany talk. And he says that you need to, if they're supposed to be your allies, you probably try to be friendly to them. She goes, and Sansa and her have a nice conversation until politics come into it. What's going to happen to the North when you take your throne down south, kind of thing. Theon comes in, and he says he's there to what his sister's doing, sailing to the islands, take them back for you, so in case you need a fallout plan. And he's there to fight for them, and Sansa runs up and hugs him. Because, hey, he did save her from being, from that abusive relationship she was in, and helped her get through the forest. John sees the guy's return, as well as the new Lord Commander guy. Can't think of his name. He's too minor of a character. John goes running over to say hi to him, and big guy grabs and hugs him. And it's a funny moment. And then they hug. And then Sam comes walking over, and they all talk a little bit. And where's the big lady? She's still here? And then they go down to the war room or whatever, and they talk about the plan. And Bran mentions how the Night King's going to come for me because he always wanted me. He always knows where I am because he branded my arm. Shows off the brand. Theon says he'll protect Bran while everybody else is fighting. And Tyrion says how he wants to give the signal for the dragons are going to light the trench on fire, and Daenerys says, no, you're too small, I need your brain. You're only here for your brain, you're not here for your fighting skills. You need to be underground with the women, children, and elderly. Well, unable-bodied women, like the ones who'd be scared and won't be able to fight. Grey Worm and Google start talking about what they're going to do with their lives when it's all over, and that's the worst thing you can do with this type of show or any type of movie is talk about retirement, because you're not going to last very long when you talk about retirement. Sam stands up on the wall with John and Lord Commander, and they tell him how, well, if you're if you're the last resort we have, the world is really ending. Well, I'm the only one that's killed I'm the first one to kill a walker in 100,000 years, or 1,000 years, whatever the number was. And he proves he's a freaking coward in the next one. And they reminisce about the good old days, about being on the wall, and how long ago it was, and how they had other people with them, like other friends of theirs, and last man alive burned the rest. Tyrion and Jaime drink by the fire, because it's the night before and no one's going to sleep before the battle. Brienne and Podrick come walking in, and they sit by the fire with Jaime and drink a little. Well, at least Podrick does. Onion Knight and Big Guy come walking in and join them. And they have a nice little conversation, and he mentions how he got his name because he killed a giant and then screwed the giant's wife, and then at the age of 10, and then the giant's wife thought he was a baby and let him drink from her breast for however many months it was, and that's how he got so big. He was trying to flirt with Brienne because he didn't like that she was looking at Jaime and everything. Arya and Hound talk about things, and the one-eyed fire sword guy shows up. She says how she's not going to spend her last night with you two old farts, and they look at each other. And she goes and she gets her rod from Deer King, or Deer Prince, in more ways than one. She says how, what happened to you? Well, I was taken by the Red Queen, and she wanted my blood because I'm the Deer Prince. And she stripped me naked. Oh, is that your first time? Oh, I didn't sleep with her. No, I mean, how many times have you done it? You've count. I didn't keep count. Yes, you did. Okay, 3. She says she doesn't want to die a virgin. And they pork. And everybody's making such a big deal about the scene. So the girl wanted to have sex. No big deal. What's the big deal? She liked him in King's Landing. And when she gets stripped, she shows the scar she got from her fighting. And then Podrick sings a nice little tune. And Jaime, the big guy, asks, how come you're not a knight to Brienne? No, women can't become knights. Why? Tradition. Oh, a knight can make another knight, Jaime says, and he gets up and knights her. She is now Brienne, Knight in 7 Realms. And she gets a big ass smile on her face. The 2 remaining bear houses, which everybody's posting, has to do a meme about how our house is small but loyal or some shit like that, when they're gone now. Sam gives him his family sword so that he can have a Valyrian steel sword because, well, one, Sam's a freaking coward, and the other thing, he can't hold the sword up straight. It's too big for him. Back at the fire, Podrick is still singing, and you get to see all the couples together, even if they're not couples romantically, they're just people that are drawn together as bonds of friendship or whatever. Sam and a girl that he likes, and this little boy she named after him, Sansa and Tyrion, Arya and Deer Prince, Worm and Google. And Captain Friendzone is friendzoning it up all on his own. Dany goes up to Jon and in the mines. Oh, who are you looking at? Oh, this is whoever, Lyanna Stark. Oh, my brother used to tell me that my older brother raped and killed her. No, that's not right. They got legally married, and my father lied about me being his bastard to save his life because the Deer King would have killed me if he found out. So your best friend and your brother tell you this is true and you believe them. Oh, it's true, he says, and he walks away. The two, as I said before, a truck pulled up, the two separated, and Tyrion is alone. And the walkers are here, or I'm just going to call them the walkers, why not? They're the army of the undead and all that. Episode 3, The Battle, or as I call it, A Knife in the Dark. Ha ha ha. You'll get the reference if you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, well, you really shouldn't be watching these type of videos. Opens up with shaking hands and someone puts blades in them. It's Sam. They're setting up the battle. You see all the main characters and where they're standing and where they're going to be during the battle. You get to see how dark it is. Remember, the night is dark and full of terrors. Ha! The Red Witch shows up before the battle starts and lights all the Dothraki blades on fire. Captain Friendzone is leading the charge. And the Onion Knight wants to kill Red Queen for what she did to the little girl, and she tells him that she'll be dead before dawn. Large group of Dothrakis go out, run into the darkness, charging. They start the basically cannons, but they throw stones of fire over the head. Ghost is with Captain Friendzone as they rush into battle. And they watch in terror as the lights slowly die out. The Grey Worm people. Grey Worm puts his helmet on. Brienne yells. And Dany and Jon fly down and set the walkers on fire. So you can actually see now what's going on. And more fighting happens. And the fighting starts. Sansa. Jon didn't want to give away position, but Dany went anyways. And the dragons get to see them flying and fighting. Sansa goes down to the mines. Not the mines, the crypt. Dragons set the thing on fire. Set the area around people on fire, the walkers and everything. And Theon and a group of guys are protecting Bran by the tree because that is where they are training to jump the Ice King. Or the Night King, sorry. Captain Friendzone made it back, along with a few Dothraki. But he is injured. Some more fighting. Sam is knocked over, and he is petrified with fear. And the not the King of the North, the Lord Commander saves him, helps him get up to his feet, and he is stabbed in the back by a walker. And Sam goes running, and that is why I dub him Samuel Tully, the Coward, first of his name. Or Sir Sam Coward, first of his name. In the crypt, Sansa gets in there and it closes behind her, and she sees everybody in there who is hiding. Well, can't fight. Google, old women, children, old men who really can't do anything, dickless guy, and Tyrion. And Sansa reminds him that we're down here because we're worthless. Back up in the darkness, fighting. Grey Worm leads the charge to, standing your ground to make the walkers come to you and get stabbed with spears. They built like these little barricade things with these giant sticks with the dragon glass put into them so that they burst into pieces when they touch them. But more walkers are coming. And Onion Knight does a little signal of crossing the fire to try to say, hey, light the pits on fire because they're retreating now. But neither Dany nor Jon can see them because of all the fog and nighttime. They try to light it on fire with shooting fire arrows at it, but they can't. And the Red Witch walks up to it and starts chanting her little thing about how to burst things into flames. It's not working. It's like a edge of your seat type moment of it not working, and then it finally bursts into flames. And then they can now Dany and Jon can finally see them. And it is working. They're being burned back to death. They're all stunned at the sight. Tyrion and Sansa share a tearful moment about how, well, you were the best. You know, it was awkward for my wife to disappear when my nephew was murdered. Well, you know, of all the men I met, you were the most decent. Theon sets up for battle to protect Bran from the walkers that are coming. Bran says that he's leaving now, and he turns and does the little white raven, or the black raven thing, three-eyed raven, and he takes over with a bunch of birds, and he flies over and sees the battle. And the Night King in the back holds his hand out and commands the dead to start piling on top of one another to break the barrier of the fire and they get through. Jon is in the sky watching all this happen, and he turns around and he sees the blue dragon that was taken over by the Ice King. Everybody looks like they're being taken over and they're starting to lose, and more fighting. Arya does a little trick of a bow staff thing, like Darth Mauling it. She sees a giant, and there's more fighting. The Hound is scared or wants to give up and just says, we're not going to win, there's no chance. And One Eye guy points up at Arya because he finds her in the crowd of people, and she falls out of a roof. That's not stopping her she ain't giving up. And the little brat yells and runs after the giant because he is attacking her men, and she is knocked to the ground when the giant comes through and hits her head. The giant grabs her, starts to crush her ribs, and she stabs him in the eye and bursts him apart, but she dies falling to the ground. And when she died, it was one of the happiest moments in the show. I hadn't felt that happy since Joffrey died. That's how much I disliked this character. She was annoying as hell to me, and everybody's love for her annoyed me more. It was probably mostly everybody's love for her that made me hate her so much. I probably wouldn't have even noticed her existence if it wasn't for like Nerdist and all them trying to hype her up. And she's an icon for little girls everywhere. She even admits herself that she can't watch the show. Her parents won't let her watch it because she's too young. So you can't be an icon if they never see you or even hear of you. Back up the dragons, they are flying up into the sky. And nice little dragon fight of blue fire. Arya sneaking around Winterfell. She is having... Fuckheads. She is hiding from all the walkers around there. It's one of those scenes that kind of reminds me of those old video games where, hey, don't get caught by what the people seeing you type thing. One does sneak up on her, but she stabs it in the chin and it dies on her. And she gets out. Hound and One Eye go looking for her. They find her, they save her, but One Eye dies saving her. He is stabbed multiple times, getting her and Hound to safety. And Red Lady is there, and she tells her the old quote that her teacher used to tell her, "What do we say to the Lord of Death? Not today." And she goes running off. Theon is still with Bran, looking over at him like, okay, he's all white-eyed, but the walkers are coming, so they all start shooting at them. The blue dragon starts to attack Winterfell. And Jon goes after it, and they start fighting, and his dragon takes a huge chunk out of the blue dragon's face. Night King wants to stab Jon's dragon, but he falls off his dragon, and he plummets to the ground. Jon's dragon is cut up, has his stomach cut up by the blue one, and he has to land himself. Daenerys sees this White King, the Snow King, on the ground, and Dracarys sets the thing on fire, and Jon's also on the ground, looks at it, and they're all in amazement, and then, nope, he survived the fire. And he gives a cocky little smile. She looks down, and he starts walking towards Bran. Excuse me. And Jon goes running after him, on foot. He stops when Jon yells, and he turns around, starts raising his hand, and all the dead around him start rising. Jon starts running while the dead is rising. It kind of made me think that, okay, was he going to kill him before one of the dead got him or something? But nope. And the dead start rising everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. And Little Bear got her wish, how she'd only stand for the true king of the north. Well, the White King is the king of the north. He comes from before the wall. That's even northern. And Jon is left to look like his doom, and the king goes off to get Bran. Inside the crypt, all the people start coming alive. All the dead bodies start coming to life. And I thought it'd be funny as hell if Tyrion said, "Talk about your family reunion." Theon is the last man standing of his group. And looks like Jon's about to take his end, but Daenerys saves him with the fire. But her dragon gets attacked by walkers and gets caked in them, and he wiggles her off. She falls to the ground, and while he's trying to wiggle off the walkers, he has to fly away. Now she's on the ground defenseless. Jon keeps running towards the king. He starts killing some more walkers. And it looks like Dany might be her end, but Captain Friendzone comes to her aid. The blue dragon with half a face is still going around spitting fire at things, and he's basically, Jon is running from the dragon now. Captain Friendzone fights to get Dany safe. Jon's still going after the Night King, but the dragon is stopping him at every move. The Night King is getting closer to Bran. Captain Friendzone gets a couple fatal hits. And it looks like everybody's dying around him. Theon goes after Night King, but Night King stabs him in the chest. And before he goes, Bran says that, Theon, you're a good man. Theon lies at the Night King's feet. Still alive, barely. Jon goes after the dragon, but, blue fire. Captain Friendzone is still alive, barely. Dany starts also fighting, but Captain Friendzone starts fighting, doing most of the work. The Night King's walking with Bran. It looks like it's all over. It's going to be ending. Jon can't do anything. Captain Friendzone and Dany can't do anything. The dragon's cooking down on him. The Night King goes for his sword to kill Bran, but Arya comes out of nowhere, and he turns around and grabs her by the neck. She drops her little Valyrian steel dagger on the ground, catches it with her other hand, and stabs him in the stomach. He pops, causing all the others to pop and die. And it is over. The Red Witch walks out to the battlefield, takes her necklace off, turns into dust herself. So ended the longest night, or the Battle of Winterfell, or whatever you want to call it. And that ended the 3 episodes. Thanks for watching, and to the dislikers and the commenters who like to leave what they think are nasty comments, all you do is fuel the flame. You make me want to do more just to, tick you off. It makes me happy. Just like how the Fandom Menace still make Brie Larson videos, even though there's nothing really much to talk about anymore. They still do it just because it pisses off the people who hate it. And hey, what good is doing this if you can't piss a couple people off? Have a nice day, and I'll do the rest of the episodes. Maybe not in as huge chunks like this one, but you never know. What do you think of these 3 episodes? Comment down below, and have a good one.